Powered by Riverside.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Live from the Bench. I am your host, and I'm joined here today with Boulevard. I'm GQ, just in case you didn't know who I was. Today is going to be a good one because we're talking about the team, the only team that really matters to us, and that's the Eagles. The Eagles have flown to Brazil. They got ready. They are ready to take on the Packers at Corinthians Arena in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. We're going to give our thoughts. Before we get started, Boulevard, I want to know how excited you are about this game. Do you think that this game?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited as a human being can possibly be. It's like the birth of a kid or something for me over here. Like, I'm so caught up in it that I know that is not even called that. I have it somewhere. I have the actual name of that stadium. That's how much crap I've been looking into for this game. Like that, it's like a family thing or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's got another name, like a corporate name for the stadium, like a Pissonnet or something like that, or a Lincoln Field, but I can't recall it off the top of my head right now, but I had it written down somewhere. Because all I've been doing is just researching, looking into stories, looking beyond the pale, not looking at what everybody else is looking like. Oh my God, Brazil's on fire, wildfires everywhere, and so much crime. I ain't look at that. Because I don't buy into that, really. People tend to exaggerate things like that. So, I mean, come on. I used to live in Baltimore. I used to live in Philly. People tend to exaggerate those things. So,
they do.
Yeah. I mean, there was the thing about the green, which at first I was under the perception that it was a gang thing. But it's not a gang thing. It's a rival team, not a rival gang or some shit. But that's the type of crap that they'll try to throw at you to make you think, ooh, Brazil's scary and foreign. Man, just go there for the scenery. And I don't mean the trees. I mean, let's be serious. We're men here, okay? We're men. We know what the Brazilian woman look like, so let's stop bullshitting. That's the only reason to go over there. That's it. But with that said, you want to talk about the game or you want to talk about the bad stuff in Brazil?
I don't really want to. I feel like there's no point in really getting into the bad stuff that's going on in Brazil because it's not going to change anything, to be completely honest.
Means nothing.
It's still going to go on. Other people play in that country, so I really don't think it's a reason for us to worry too much about it.
Right. I mean, I've seen people complaining that, the NFL is spending too much time going global. Why don't they focus on home? Because they do that every other week of the year. You can't act like the NFL is not above expanding their territory, their fan base. That's exactly what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to limit their fan base. What are they, NASCAR, working hard to turn everybody against them? No.
Right.
Like, be logical about it. Of course they're going to go overseas. No one complained when they were going to fucking London every year. No one complained when they started going to Germany. Only when it's Brazil. Now it's a problem, right? We know what that's about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cut that shit out. Cut all of that shit out. We're all adults here. Let's stop acting like fucking children, picking stupid fucking fights. Grow the fuck up, America. Now, let's go on to what I got. I got, the Eagles got a new OC, new DC. Revamped the whole thing. We haven't really talked about any of that, the stuff that's led to this moment here, this game. Never really got into too much detail about the new coordinators or anything like that. But I mean, this is when they become an actual fact. This is when they actually matter. Who has the advantage? I mean, you think as far as coordinators, who do you think has the advantage here?
I'd probably say that Green Bay has the advantage with the coordinators only because they've probably been here they probably got more time with this group.
Oh no, just they have a new defensive coordinator. I've never even heard of this guy before, Jeff Hafley.
Oh,
And
okay.
they
So
were not that necessarily solid at defense last year, but I'm sure I'll talk about that.
well, I mean, I feel like when you have continuity, I feel like when you have continuity from just having some more time, you do essentially have some advantage, which is the reason why I feel like Jordan Love has a bit more of an advantage because he's been with the same head coach in his system for a long time now. As where Jalen Hurts, his system has changed just about every single year. He's been in an Eagles uniform, you know what I mean? Because his first year he was in with Doug Peterson, I believe it was. He was with Peterson. Second year, Sirianni was calling the plays until he wasn't. Then it was Steichen, and Steichen came in with his other system in his second. You know, so the system's basically been changing every year. So I feel like Jordan Love hadn't had to worry about that. He came in, and he kind of already knew what he was dealing with when he came in because it's what he's been dealing with, you know? It's not like the system changed when Aaron Rodgers left. The system was still there. The system is still in place. So I feel like Jordan Love had the advantage there. And then Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts aren't the same type of quarterbacks. So it's different. I know I'm getting off track a little bit, but
no, continue. Do your thing.
Because one of the things is like you see these lists that keep coming out, and I just keep seeing the disrespect and the disregarding of what Jalen Hurts brings to the table. Jalen Hurts this past season threw 23 touchdowns. Rushed for 15?
Yep, 15.
Jordan Love threw for 32 touchdowns. Now, Jordan Love's a better passer, maybe.
No, Jordan Love didn't start out that great.
Yeah.
So when I looked at the numbers, now he was like 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions his first 7 games.
Yeah, Jordan Love was, and he got to sit behind, as much as Boulevard may disagree with me, got to sit behind one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever played this game. One of the greatest. Unfortunately, Boulevard, I have to say it. Jordan Love had the advantage to actually not necessarily learn because I doubt Aaron Rodgers was developing anybody. But he got something out of watching Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you got to sit there and watch the defense while Aaron Rodgers bullshitted the Packers for a couple of years. And then when he got his chance, he was finally ready, even though the few times you've seen him before that, he was questionable. But when it was time to show up, he showed up.
And I feel like
bad, but once they kind of adjusted the offense to his skill set, the offense got a lot better.
And here's where I feel like this Jalen Hurts disrespect. I feel like it's 100% an Eagles disrespect thing. It's just like because I feel like if Jalen Hurts was anywhere else, he would probably not be disrespected if he was doing the same thing. It's because it's an Eagles thing. People just don't like.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely an Eagles thing. Just like everybody attacking Dak is a Cowboys thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
because I feel like Dak going somewhere else is probably going to see a lot of hate. Like he probably would get a lot more respect because he's not in that blue and silver. Just like Eagles, if Jalen Hurts was in another uniform, he'd probably get a lot more respect.
Yeah, and I think Jalen Hurts in San Francisco will get a lot more respect. They don't have as much of an agenda to hate on them quarterback over there, even though everybody still questions Purdy, but that's just because he was a low pick.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only reason they hate on Purdy, because I feel like if you would do that draft over, if you was to do the draft over,
now he's going top 5, absolutely.
Yeah, Purdy's top 5. Yeah, so I feel like people are gonna hate. People just hate just to hate, and what bothers me is people who have to do this professionally and get paid to do it. And you're a professional hater. You become a professional hater. Like you're paid to hate on people. So I feel like it only lasts but for so long because eventually people are going to get tired of your mess and then you're going to have to wake the fuck up like Skip Bayless had to.
Yeah. You see, as soon as he got fired, I mean, as soon as he went, like the Cowboys started turning against him, he dropped his tone real quick. Now
Yeah,
it's like rooting for the Eagles, fucking kiss ass.
It's like just be legitimate, just be honest about what you're looking at. I'm not afraid to say that there are certain players that I would pick over certain players. You know, I'm not afraid to say that I would take Justin Jefferson over Devontae Smith. I'm not afraid to say that.
Well, why? What kind of that's really not even up for debate. Of course, you would have to. It's illogical to think otherwise.
Yeah, so I'm not going to sit there and have that conversation. Like I'm not afraid to sit there and say, but there are people that will literally sit there and say, I would take. So it's literally guys out like Hushmanzada, DJ Hushmanzada really aggravated the hell out of me the other day because I was watching him and he basically said that he would pay Trevor Lawrence before he would pay Dak Prescott.
That's silly.
And
that's just silly.
And it was hilarious to me because we know Shady McCoy coined the phrase Dak is ass. But he said, you can't sit here and tell me that Trevor Lawrence deserved his money, but not Dak.
Right.
Dak Scott deserves his money. I think the only reason why Dak doesn't have his money is because Dak is going. You can't pay.
Yeah, he's going. That's what it is. He's not going to be there next year. That's what that is. But
it's a disrespect thing. Everybody just disrespects for the sake of disrespecting instead of just being professional sports pundits or whatever we are.
No, that's what it is now. That's what the game is.
So I think we got to
start the hottest take possible. Get people to retaliate. Like, no, you're crazy. You must be on drugs. Drink more milk.
Yes, it doesn't matter which kind, as long as your body can take it.
Right.
But anyway, I think what we want to do in this episode, we want to talk about this game, what we got. What is our predictions for this game? What ideas we have gets going down in this game. So, Boulevard.
Yes.
First question I have for you.
Yes.
Which player on either team I can't really say which player, but does something negative happen off the field that gets our attention, that scares the NFL this weekend?
Oh, you mean is Big Dom getting in trouble again?
No. I mean like off the field, like in a hotel room, something that involves Brazil. You know, somebody break the rules.
Probably one of the rookies.
Goes outside of their hotel when they're not supposed to, and they end up getting robbed or something.
Yeah, I'd put it on one of the rookies, one of the dumbass young boys. Yeah. That's some shit a knucklehead kid out of college would do. They think they know better than literally everyone else. Go out there and make a fool of themselves and disappear. And then we like, damn, what happened to Will Shipley? Like, he was just right here. I mean, you can't miss him.
Yeah, that.
I don't know.
What
was the question, though?
Oh, you answered it. You answered it. All right. So,
my brain be wandering. I got all these numbers and stats and shit on the screen over here.
You know, I'll let you go right into that while I think of my questions. Put my questions back in the
Fine. Here's some interesting stuff that'll bore the hell out of you, everybody. In his first 2 seasons as a starter, Jalen Hurts averaged 52.3 and 50.7 rushing yards per game, respectively. But last season, his average dropped to just 35.6 yards per game. He sustained a knee injury at week 6 last season, but before the injury, he was averaging only 41.2 yards per game. And remember, his average dropped to 35.6. He achieved 15 rushing touchdowns, marking double-digit rushing touchdowns for him in the last 3 seasons. The Eagles ranked 30th in the NFL for pre-snap motion usage last season, while 25.5% of his dropbacks, while the league average stood at 43.7. Kellen Moore's Chargers were 4th at 57.5. With Dallas in 2022, the Cowboys were 10th at 44.8. Basically, expect a lot more motion. That's a good thing.
Yes. I love
Instead of
motion.
just being all one-dimensional and predictable, you want to be as confusing as possible. Yeah. Hurts last season, Hurts faced blitzes on 33.6% of his dropbacks, the second highest rate in the league. In the past 3 seasons, his completion rate against zone blitzes is 63.8, 33rd in the league. His average of 7.4 yards per attempt ranked 27th, and his touchdown rate of 1.7 is 26th. So basically, they were right that he's terrible against it. What they were saying, what they were saying about him, that he's bad against zone blitz, it's completely true.
Interesting.
Yeah. So go on. What you got? If they still here, what you got? We give you numbers.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot more improvement with this new Kellen Moore system. I think he gives you the same thing you get with Dak, bro. To be honest with you, I think you give him something different. I think that's what most quarterbacks need after they start struggling, is to have something new, something special, something that doesn't make you like, oh, so this is what Jalen Hurts did last year. What about this year? It's a whole new different system. Now you got a plan for how things worked. Now you got to go back and look at Kellen Moore's system in Dallas and then in LA. And now you got to incorporate the fact that this quarterback can actually run. This quarterback is actually a threat to run. Like Dak wasn't a threat to run. He could do it, but he wasn't a threat. Herbert, maybe not a threat. No. Not a threat. Maybe could probably get you 3 to 5 yards, but
you can get out of the pocket. But
yeah. Jalen Hurts, he's somebody you actually have to be concerned about. Somebody you may have to. So when you get the right system, you may have to cut those blitzes out of your system, because you have to worry that if that blitz doesn't get them, that run does. And I think that's one of the things that people kind of ignore, is that, his completion percentage may not have been great against the blitz, but a lot of people probably aren't going to throw too well with somebody in their face.
Right.
Especially when you're in a system that you're not comfortable with. Like, and I have to say this, like, was there a single season where you can honestly say that Jalen Hurts was comfortable in this system? Because each system he ever been in was brand new to him. Like, even this system is brand new to him. So, I mean, compared to other guys who've been in their system for quite a long time, I mean, I can't really give too much credence to the whole zone blitz theory, because the guy hasn't really gotten an opportunity to get comfortable in the system. He's lost. He's either had a new play caller or a new coordinator every year of his career. So
this is true. It's true as hell.
That's what my thoughts are. Yeah, that's my thought. That's my thoughts on that. So I can't really lend too much credence to that, because the guy's still growing. The guy's still developing. So he's going to make his mistakes and he's going to learn. He's still young. Like, he hasn't even turned 26 yet. So let's see. That's all I can say is let's see.
Yeah.
And let's hope that Kellen Moore doesn't get a head coaching job at the end of this.
How do you feel about Jordan Love versus our defense?
Well, now that Devin White's out and the Kobe Dean starts,
he was already starting, from what I understand.
I'm a little concerned, because but I mean, we've been concerned about this linebacker core for quite a long time, so there's no surprise there. But there's concern there, is because I don't know how it's going to play out with those receivers who like the middle of the field in Green Bay. Like, those receivers really do like the middle of the field, the tight ends. Green Bay has always been a tight end friendly system. So I'm a little concerned about that, with those linebackers not being able to handle it. However, I feel like they could go very deep with their secondary. It's just, I don't know. I just don't know what to expect, because I'm slightly confident with the 3-4. They got the edge rushers. They have their defensive line as far as Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams on the front three. Then you got that rotational edge package. But I'm very concerned. I'm not confident in the least. As bad as that is to say, it's just I'm not sure.
In that
I'm not
defense,
really-
you don't believe in the defense.
I believe that the new secondary, the secondary that they just put together, could do it, but I feel like it's way too fresh. It's way too fresh. I feel like they have to take advantage of every single opportunity to make stops and pray that this defensive line that played at this Eagles pass rush is getting there, and they're not missing tackles because we see a lot of that in Philadelphia. As long as they're making their tackles, they won't get beat. And that's where a lot of problems happen in Philadelphia. Like guys miss a tackle, and the next thing you know, the guy's running, he's picking up an extra 5 to 10 yards. We can't have that. Even if players are catching the passes, do not let them get extra yards. And I feel like that's where it's going to lean down to. As long as the ball gets to a player, that's where the Eagles struggle with the ball.
Yeah, well, that's what the Packers do. They like to get the ball out quick.
Yeah, and that's where the problem lie. If the defense is not making those tackles immediately, that's a problem. They got to get there as soon as the ball gets to the receiver and make the tackle immediately because that's where the Eagles have struggled. From what I've seen watching games, they struggle with stopping players in the open field. They miss a lot of tackles. So
yeah, they were terrible for that last season.
Yeah, they were missing a lot of tackles in the open field.
Right. I mean, I don't have much more hope for them to improve beyond that because it was pretty damn bad. Like, I mean, they were bad. A lot points allowed per game. They were bad at stopping the run.
Yeah.
They were terrible at stopping. I mean, yeah, they were 10th in defensively stopping the run, like 31st against the pass, something along those lines. Yeah. But it was all bad. Like if they caught it in the open field, there was less than a 50-50 shot at them stopping them, I guess. Well, that's an exaggeration, but there was always going to be some problems or some risk. Yeah. They were just not good at open field tackling at all. But that was one of the things that plays right into the Packers' hands. So that concerns me. I mean,
this is gonna be a shootout.
Right. Well, you think, I mean, at least the Packers are going to score points. The Eagles are going to have to score points, but they had the people to score points. And the Packers defense on its own end isn't especially good either. I mean, what are they, especially against the run? They had 4 200 yards per games last year defensively that they allowed. 4.5 yards per carry against the run. So that's an advantage that we definitely need to take. Give it to Barkley. Give it to Gainwell. Give it to throw it. Just let's use the backfield. Let's use the backfield. Go out there and establish something
significantly.
Yes,
significantly.
I mean, that's what you brought him in for. So let's use him.
I say use the running backs more than you use Jalen Hurts to run the ball.
Yeah, let's make that the plan.
Yeah, like Jalen Hurts shouldn't have more than 6 designed rushing plays. As sad as that is to say, he shouldn't have more than 6 designed run plays.
Well, like I said earlier, his rushing yards per game has been dropping over his career anyway. So if you drop, I wouldn't get my hopes too high on those numbers, like usually, but more in the passing game because I think he's making an effort to be more of more of a pocket passer that can get the ball out quick and not have to use his legs.
Yeah, that will be a credit to Kellen Moore's system if he's coming in here and he's putting Jalen Hurts in a position to feel comfortable.
There were reports about him using checkdowns and all of that, which he really didn't do as much last year.
Yeah.
So that's an improvement. As long as the ball's that's a good play, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, as he's making changing plays at the line, making those audible stuff that he really didn't do a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The Eagles are last couple of years been third and first in contact per running back rush. Yeah, I mean that means they get more yards before. That means they get great blocking on their run plays. So I mean Kelsey's gone, but the spirit remains.
Right.
Last year they were third in run block grade according to PFF. I don't expect them to drop much with the new lineup. So they're still going to establish it. They're still Steltman you. So they're going to move the ball from the ground. That's what they do. They do it well. Stick to what works. I like it. I like our odds this game. But I mean, then you got the other side with Josh Jacobs. I mean, he had a bad season last year from what you expect of him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's wearing down. So I mean, Dameon Pierce was the only running back with a lower rate of runs that got a first down. The only running back with lesser average of yards after contact were Dameon Pierce, Kareem Hunt, and Jamal Williams. So that's the company he's keeping. Wash, he's down there with the washed running backs from back in the day, from 5 years ago. So I don't expect much necessarily out of Josh Jacobs. I mean, unless he can find the fountain of youth or get his legs back, I wouldn't have put much hope in him.
I'm not. I wouldn't. And I think it's a lot of the same. He's not going to give you the same thing that he's been given the past 2 years. I mean, the years in the past. And last year, you credit that he had a bad year because he was with a bad Raiders team. And
it should be possible.
Figuring out who their coach is. Like I don't even remember who their coach was last season before they hired Antonio Pierce. I completely forgot. But it's just garbage. So yeah, he was gonna have a garbage year with a garbage team. There's no surprise there, but like you said, he is on pace to be standing at the bottom half of the statistic list when it comes to rushers, because he's not the same guy that he used to be. He's not going to get the crazy bag of carries that he was usually getting. It's not going to happen.
Ain't no way.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Because they're going to throw the ball. They got a quarterback that they trust that can throw the ball. So that quarterback's going to get 300, 400, 500 attempts, you know.
Well, so, definitely. I mean,
like
why
I'd say,
give them the money if they're not going to do that?
Yeah, so I'd be shocked if Jacobs gets 220 rushing attempts. I'd be shocked because I feel like it's not going to get that high.
I like the odds of that. Yeah, that's a fair under 220.
Yeah.
Especially if he's not productive, which I feel like he's not going to be productive. I feel like he's nearing the end, might even be at the end. Could be cooked. I don't know.
So I want to get one more thing I'm going to get something from you. What are your predictions for this game?
Predictions?
Yeah.
I got the Eagles winning. I got Jalen Hurts getting about 220 in the air, 60 on the ground tops. I feel like we're going to go in and establish the run, try to be physical with them, because that's a weak spot for the Packers, at least it was last season. And I feel like on the other end, they're probably going to try to do the same thing, try to get Josh Jacobs going early. But, you know, his best skills in the middle, and that's not going to cut it against the Eagles' D-line because they're strongest in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, if he can get to the second level at the block and can contain the line, then the Eagles are going to have a problem because we don't know what the linebackers are going to be. Like, we don't know what's going to happen once they break past that first line of defense. That scares me. Because, I mean, you got basically unconvincing players so far in their careers mostly.
Right.
Like, you're not convinced you can rely on them or that they can do the job over 17 games. They've
Yeah.
barely, they've shown capabilities, but not consistent, healthy capabilities. So that's a question mark. If they can get to the second level, will they get past it?
Right.
But it's on the D line. It's on the
Yeah.
D line. D line's got to do their job because the linebackers might not be capable of doing theirs. D line in the secondary. Secondary contains D line attacks. Linebackers clean up the mess in the middle.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that.
Mm.
I also see
But
that
I don't
Eagles
know if it's going to happen like that. It's like I don't know how the corners are going to do against Dubs and Watson, and I feel like I'm missing somebody.
yeah, I can't remember his name either.
Jaden Reed.
Reed, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Watson, they like throwing the ball to Watson. He wasn't out there as much, but they like throwing the ball to Watson. So I would
He's a
assume,
big target.
yeah, he's going to be something they need to focus on. That's why he didn't get a lot. He got it a lot when he was out there.
Yeah.
So just something to watch out for.
Yeah. Slade probably be covering him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see him making the massive plays unless he gets past Slade.
Yeah, here's hoping Slay still got something left. He's getting old. It's time to start questioning that too.
Now, here's where my question is. Because it hasn't been stated. We don't know yet. The depth chart is probably out. I haven't looked, but I'm not sure who's that outside corner. Who is it? Because what I've heard, Quinion Mitchell was playing that nickel corner.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, because from what I've heard, Bradbury's hurt. So who's that outside corner outside Slay, opposite Slay? And that is something we got to watch out for, because whoever those guys are going to be stepping in, will it be Ringo? Will it be Rogers? It won't be Coop, because Poop will play some slot corner as well.
So I would hope that holds serve. I mean, because I don't know what all the hype is of Rogers. I haven't seen him yet. So I don't. But if Ringo's showing something, that's to be expected because he was brought in as basically that's where we are. So I would hope that he played up to his. That's one out there, I guess. Are you frozen? Oh, okay.
No.
Well, my screen just started acting up. All right.
Yeah. I agree. I'm not sure about Rogers yet. It may look like it may look like you'll see there's probably going to be a rotation of Rogers, Ringo will probably get the most of it because he has actually had some reps at that position in Philadelphia. Not so much in their system, but in Philadelphia.
Right.
It's a completely different system. We haven't seen Eagles in the 3-4 defense, like featured in the 3-4 defense since Chip Kelly, and it didn't really go that well.
It did not.
But there was also a difference level at that nose tackle position. I'll say that Jordan Davis is definitely a lot more domineering and a bigger threat than Benny Logan was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
he made a decent career for himself, though, Benny Logan, surprisingly enough.
And then
charge my ship. All right. Go on.
So I think we probably have a little bit more. And then Jalen Carter, he is who he is. He's a monster. I don't think, as much as I am a fan of the 3-4 defense, I don't think we should have went to a 3-4 defense. simply because of a defensive tackle depth issue. I don't feel like there's much talent outside of Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis at that defensive tackle position. Milton Williams now he's being more featured now as that other defensive end. You'll see a lot of rotation between Graham, Sweat, Huff, and Smith. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to be getting. I'm like the jury is still out. So that I guess that could be a negative against Philly. It could be a positive because nobody knows.
Right. I don't have the most. I mean, if I had to say put a grade on my confidence level in the Eagles defense, it's no higher than a C. Offense, I put it a little B plus because I know they're capable of scoring. I don't know that this defense is capable of stopping anything.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd put the Eagles offense at an A because the Eagles offense is going to show out and they can basically do just about anything that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as that line can block, which if Cam Jurgens can still, all Cam Jurgens has to do is snap the ball and block. If he can do that, then we ain't got nothing to worry about. We're not asking him to be Jason Kelce.
No, not asking him to call the protections, no shit like that. Because I don't think he's ready for that.
Yeah, I'm just
that's
hoping
also
that he's
a red flag.
Yeah.
But
I'm not asking him to do that. I'm just asking him to just do what he has to do. And we'll figure, and the Eagles will figure out the rest. I think the offense, I'll give my offense an A. But the defense, I'm right there with you giving it a C because I'm just not sure. It's not that I have no confidence in them. There's just way too many question marks from the system, from the switch system, the linebacking group, who's starting on defensive line depth, who's starting at the defensive backs positions. There's just way too many question marks that leave me wondering. However, I still hold on to that confidence that they will do enough offensively to win. Because all they have to do is just not make mistakes.
Right.
And all the defense has to do is just tackle and take advantage of every opportunity. If we get a stop,
keep them in front of them.
Yeah, you guys, as long as the game's in front of them, they got it. So,
you want some more stats? Y'all want some more stats? Everybody that's still awake? All right.
No.
Here's some A.J. Brown stats, Devontae Smith stats. Before week 10 of last season, A.J. Brown averaged 3.04 yards per route run. After week 10, it decreased to 1.84 yards per route run. Nevertheless, he achieved a career high with 106 receptions for 1,456 yards. Him and Hill are the only receivers to surpass 1,400 receiving yards in the last two seasons. The Eagles' utilization of play action fell from 30% in 22 to 25.8. Their pre-step motion, I think I said this already, dropped from 33 to 27.9. The splits, like Brown splits, varied significantly based on coverage. He was targeted on 23.4% of his routes against zone compared to 39.5% against man. That's your stats on A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith averaged 2.3 yards per route run from the slot, in contrast to A.J. Brown's 1.65. Devontae was targeted on 21.6% of the slot routes, while Brown was targeted on 16.2. The Packers ranked 7th in points allowed per game to outside wide receivers. This is a fantasy thing. They were 22nd against slot receivers. They give me your fantasy stats too. We educate around here. Now here's some Christian Watson for you poor, sad Packers fans. Last season, when Watson was on the field for 270 routes, he garnered a team-high 22.8% of the targets. During week 5 to 13, he topped the team with 49 targets and 4 touchdowns. In 159 passing plays where Watson, Dobbs, and Reed were on the field, Watson had a 25.9 target share and an average of 2.11 yards per route run. The Packers used him in the end zone, even though he only ran routes on 43.1 of the team's dropbacks. He secured 14 end zone targets. Dubs had the most end zone targets with 17, while Reed had 9. And, of course, Watson had 14. 26.4% of Christian Watson's targets were in the end zone, the highest rate among receivers, at least 50 targets. All right, I'm done with the stats. We can go back to talking the good shit.
Uh,
That means wake up, everybody.
I like the stats. I mean, I don't have an issue with the stats. I feel like the stats paint a different picture that everybody's not seeing.
Yeah, I mean, if they can quite read what I'm saying in their minds, then I guess they'll understand what I'm saying. Maybe I'm making it complicated, but I imagine your average person is intelligent enough to use their ears. Unless they're women.
No.
All right.
Women like football too.
Who's talking about football? I'm talking about listening.
Oh. Women are listening too. My wife
I know
says she
so. We like y'all. You're welcome to come on the show or watch the show or
shit, my daughter watches the show.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't curse then. All right.
Fuckity
What else we got?
Watch everybody start leaving now. This is weird.
Oh yeah. I know. Usually I have stuff for this, but I figured I was going to step aside for this.
I mean, I have nothing else, you know. I'll give us a score.
Okay, give us a score. Why not? Keep in mind, the over-under is 48.5. And the Eagles, I almost said the Feagles. Jesus, what year did that come from? The Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. This was according to ESPN, and the stats are from sharpfootballanalysis.com, one of my favorite pages. They don't pay me to say that either. I love that shit. I love numbers.
24-20. That's my score.
Apparently, I called the game last night before.
Yeah, you did.
But I called it backwards. I don't remember this. I have no memory of saying that, but whatever. As long as your score means the Eagles win, good shit. But
24-20 Eagles win.
I'm going to say 33-17 Eagles win. 34-17 Eagles win.
Ooh.
Because the Packers can't handle the big-ass crowd booing them, and they don't even know why, and they crumble. Jordan Love holds under pressure.
I like it. Let's do this.
Take it home with you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
We all can't be Packers fans. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not the right thing. That's not right.
No, none of us can. You're not allowed. It doesn't make sense.
When it comes to football, no matter where the game is played, it's football. But wait, no. I wanted to educate y'all on something because we taking the game of football outside of the U.S. for a second. Tonight, we'll be playing football in Brazil. Football is called soccer here, but in Brazil, soccer is called football. But I wanted to give you a little bit of education on what soccer is. So back in the 1800s, soccer was what the sport was. It's called football, but they called it the Association of Football.
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Yeah. In the 1800s, they changed it. They like to abbreviate things, so they called it ASOC. Later on in the 1800s, they added the ER to the end. Something that y'all vanilla folk like to do. They like to add the ER to stuff. So they started calling it a soccer. And then, they ended up shooting the shit and calling it soccer. So America was like, we got a sport over here that's becoming very popular. We're going to call it football. So the guys in the English were like, okay, we're tired of calling it soccer. We're going to call it football again. U.S., you can't use football anymore. And the U.S. said, And that's how we get this whole feud of football is football and football is soccer. But here's the thing. This is what I'm going to say. Football is football in America. Football is football everywhere you go. To everybody else, soccer is soccer. If you don't like it, then you should have kept your name. You should have always kept your name. You shouldn't have been a bitch about it because you wanted to be special and changed the name. If you kept your sport, football the entire time and not try to be special and start saying some associated football and then try to shorten it up, if you would have kept it where it was, then we wouldn't have this problem. But guess what? You did what you did, and football came out, and we was like, we'll take that name. That's like me becoming a rapper, having a name, saying I want to use the name, and then somebody else take the name, and now you want the name back. That's not how the world works, bro. That's not how it works. You don't get to do that. You don't get claims on it. Football is the sport where you kick the football for a field goal, you run the football, and you pass it. That's what football is. Soccer is that thing with the little white and black ball. Football. Outside of that, I say all of that to say this. We can't all be starters. So, all you fuckheads, go get your popcorn, your chicken, your fries, your nacho cheeses. Go to Wingstop. Go to Asajj Chicken. Go to wherever you get your chicken. Wings over Burlington. I don't care where you get your chicken and stuff from. Go get your pizza. Go get it ready. Go now. Like, why are you still standing here? Go get your food ready because when game time starts, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be action-packed. It's going to be fun. It's going to be loud. So, Boulevard.
Yes.
Let these fools know what they can do so I can start putting my order in.
All right. I'm doing like this. Voa aqui, voa is how you say fly eagles fly in Brazilian Portuguese. Take it home with you. Hit the bench.